Hey there, my name's Chris Winter, and in this video I want to share with you some of the best cameras for Instagram, so hopefully you can start taking better photos with your camera if you want to take it a little bit more seriously. By the way guys, I'm currently doing a massive camera giveaway to one lucky subscriber. You can win either a Canon M50, a Canon T7 or a Nikon D3500 and a lens of your choice from my epic lens list, which you can see in the description box below. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment on this video and tell me which camera and lens from the list you want to win. And also, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely make sure to check out my brand new list that I just made, the best cameras for Instagram. I go through some of the cameras that would be best for you. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description box below this video and you can take a look. But anyway, let's now talk about some of the best cameras to use for Instagram. Okay, so today's question says, hey Chris, I want to step up my Instagram game, but not really sure which camera to use. I'm currently using an iPhone 7, but would like to step up to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Which ones would you suggest? Well, first off, that's really cool that you want to be able to do that. Now, there's no problems at all using an iPhone or a Android phone for Instagram, but if you do want to use a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, it'll definitely increase the options that you have, and you can really make your photos pop with different things like lenses and different cameras. So in this video, I'm going to give you a couple of different options at different price ranges, and hopefully I'll better help you even just a little bit. So before we jump into cameras, I firstly want to talk about one thing that I find is actually really important for something like Instagram, and that is the lens. Now the lens is going to make even more of a difference than the camera body itself, because it really allows you to change the way that your photos look, depending on things like your focal length, your aperture, and essentially which brand or style that you're going to be using. So I didn't actually get what kind of Instagram channel you've got, but if you're going to be doing something like fashion or you're going to be doing something like lifestyle, it's actually quite a nice thing to get a lens that's got a wider aperture, which is something like an f1.4, an f1.8, an f2.8. They're going to allow you to get that kind of shallow depth of field or background blur like I've got right here. You can see that I'm in focus, but the background's kind of blurry. So like I said, you'll want a lens that's got something like an f1.8 aperture. So right here, I've got a pretty good example. I've got a 85mm f1.8, and this is quite a large lens, as you can see. It's got a large opening right here, which allows a lot of light to come in. And this is really going to allow you to get that really shallow background blur, shallow depth of field. Now this one here is not super expensive. This is from a company called Yongnuo. Canon make one as well, Nikon make them as well. The 85mm is kind of a mid-range lens, and it's a really nice lens if you want to get that kind of very kind of mystic kind of look with a nice background blur. Now another lens that you could look into is this one here. This is a 50mm f1.8. This is commonly known as a nifty 50 or a plastic fantastic because a few reasons. Well, first off, it's a very small lens. It's also a very cheap lens. Now the 50mm f1.8 is a fantastic lens for something like Instagram, especially if you're going to be doing kind of stylish shots or you're going to be doing more posed kind of shots, because it's going to allow you to get that shallow depth of field again, but in a smaller environment. With the 85mm on a camera like a Canon SL2 or a Nikon D3500, it's going to be quite a long lens, so you'll have to be a little bit careful with that. This one here only comes in at about $100. This version actually comes in at about $60, but that's probably the price that you're going to be paying for a 50mm lens. Now I will get to cameras soon, I just want to give you a few more tips. Another really nice lens for Instagram is a 35mm. I've got one right here. This one here is a 35mm f2. So again, we're going to be getting that nice shallow depth of field, but it's wider again, better for indoor shots. So let's now talk about cameras, of course. The first camera I would probably recommend for most people if you're just stepping up from the world of DSLRs is something like a Canon SL2 or 200D. I've got one right here. It's a fantastic camera for a few different reasons. Firstly, it's got a really nice build. It's a little bit cheaper than most other DSLRs, and it's got other things that I really like, such as a microphone jack, just in case you want to do any vlogging or you want to do some Instagram videos that are a little bit better quality, so you can throw a microphone on top. It's also got a flip out screen, which is really useful, especially if you're going to be taking photos for Instagram for yourself. Now, with a lot of other DSLRs or a lot of older DSLRs, we won't have a flip out screen. So for example, I've got a Canon 4000D here, and you can see that the screen is stationary, it's built in, and it doesn't flip out. So it means you can't actually see yourself if you're going to be taking a selfie or are you going to be having a group shot or a timer shot. You want to make sure that if that's something that you need, you want to get a camera that does have a flip screen. If you want a cheaper camera, you could look at something like the Canon 4000D or the Canon 2000D. They're both new cameras, the 4000D and the Canon 2000D. Now the 2000D is also called the Canon T7 in America, so make sure that you can understand that, but there's no real difference in terms of the camera. Now, what do you get with a camera that's a little bit cheaper like the 4000D? Well, you don't unfortunately get things like a flip screen. You don't get a touch screen, so you're going to have to use the buttons on the side here to adjust your settings. But other than that, it's not a big difference. Now, this camera here for Instagram could be a great camera, especially if you pair it up with a nice lens, like I said, an 85mm f1.8, a 50mm f1.8. That's going to be a really, really good option. And again, if you're not going to be doing things like video and you really just want to have a basic DSLR and you don't want to spend too much money on the body, probably go for something like the Canon 4000D or the 2000D. What about if you want to use Nikon? Well, they have a great new camera that's just come out, the Nikon D3500. I've got one here. This is a really nice camera, and it's not a whole lot different to the Canon cameras these days. Even the buttons on the Nikon D3500 have changed to the kind of traditional Canon layout. And it's a really nice camera. Again, this one's going to be shooting at a higher frames per second than a lot of the other cameras because Nikon's pretty famous for that. And they've got really good autofocus in stills as well. And in terms of picture quality, all of these are going to be pretty similar. Now, some cameras will shoot in 24 megapixels, some will shoot in 18 megapixels, some will be even higher if you're going to be spending a little bit more money. But honestly, it's not going to make a massive difference, especially if you're only going to be shooting your photos for Instagram. And you've got to remember, we'll open up Instagram here. You can see that it's such a small screen that the megapixels is not going to make a massive difference unless, of course, you are going to be cropping your photos, and then you're going to have a little bit better image quality once you do crop them. But another option, of course, is to just use your phone, and I still don't recommend that this is a bad thing to do. I mean, I still use my phone if I'm going to be taking a lot of Instagram photos, because I think a lot of people do end up getting a little bit too fascinated and worried about the technology. Oh, is this going to make the photos look better? In the end, you've got to remember people are scrolling through their Instagram very, very quickly. They might spend 1, 2, 3 seconds on your photo, and if it's a nice photo, they might like it. But other than that, I wouldn't stress too much about the camera body itself. But if you do want to, and you do enjoy photography, it can be good fun as well. I've got a couple of other cameras here that might interest you. If you're looking for something a little bit smaller, you could also look at a mirrorless camera, something like this one here. This is the Canon M50. I'll just show you that one right there. This is a new camera as well, really nice. And as you can see, it is a little bit smaller for the reason that it doesn't actually have a mirror on the inside. You can see that we've got the sensor right there and no mirror compared to the DSLRs, which do have a mirror right there. But this one here is quite similar to the Canon SL2. It's got a few really nice features. Again, we've got that flip out screen. You can see that, so you can actually see yourself. You can also flip it up and down and then flip it in on itself when you travel, so it's a little bit safe as well for that. This one's got a microphone jack, so you can attach a microphone, which is always quite nice as well. And again, this has a really good video settings. It can shoot in 4K, so you're going to be getting sharper and crystal clear video. It's also got a thing called dual pixel autofocus, and what I really like about dual pixel autofocus is that it allows you to have really smooth and cinematic video quality. So if you are going to be pointing it anywhere, you don't have to do a lot of manual focus anymore with dual pixel autofocus. It really does work quite well. Now, I do want to point out a few other camera brands that I don't have with me right now, but which are really nice. Sony make a couple of great cameras for Instagram. I would recommend maybe the Sony a6000 or the a6300. They've also got the a6500, which is a really nice camera as well. And you could also look at something a little bit cheaper like the Sony a5100. It's another nice camera. Panasonic also have a couple of really good cameras for Instagram. I'd be looking at the Panasonic G7. It's a little bit cheaper, maybe $500. You could look at the Panasonic G80 or the G85, just different depending on which country you're coming from. If you want to step it up a little bit, you could look at the Panasonic GH4 or the Panasonic GH5. Both of those are very good, and they're very good at video as well, both shooting in 4K. But again, I don't want you to stress too much about the camera itself. If you are going to stress about anything, I'd rather you invest a little bit more money in lenses. Maybe get a nice prime lens like a 35mm f1.8, a 50mm f1.8, or an 85mm f1.8. That's the big portrait lens. That's going to be a fantastic lens if you really want to get that nice bokeh. But other than that, I mean, it is generally better to spend a little bit of money on your lenses and not the body itself. But I mean, it is good fun. I like to talk about cameras, and I'm sure you do too. I'm really excited for you if you are getting into the world of Instagram. Now, if you do want to leave your Instagram handle in the comments down below, anyone watching really, and you want to get some promotion from that, feel free to do that. That's more than cool. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. It might have been a little bit rambly, but that's kind of the way I'm going for my videos this year. And yeah, these are some good cameras for Instagram in 2019 and hopefully in the future. I'll try and make some more updates on this during the year. Now, if you did enjoy this video, I'd love it if you leave a thumbs up because that's always appreciated. And I'm going to go have a coffee. I'll speak to you guys later. By the way, guys, I'm currently doing a massive camera giveaway to one lucky subscriber. You can win either a Canon M50, a Canon T7, or a Nikon D3500, and a lens of your choice from my epic lens list, which you can see in the description box below. All you need to do to enter is leave a comment on this video and tell me which camera and lens from the list you want to win. And also, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely make sure to check out my brand new list that I just made, the best cameras for Instagram. I go through some of the cameras that would be best for you. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description box below this video and you can take a look. So there you go, guys. That was a quick video on the best cameras for Instagram. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you got some knowledge out of that. And good luck with you if you are starting an Instagram in 2019. It can be a really fun thing to do. It can be a little bit challenging. It's a very saturated market over there, but it's good just to take your photos and share them anyway. So that's it for me. Like I said before, I'm going to go have a coffee and I'll speak to you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.